This is a different kind of war. There are no marching armies or solemn declarations. We intend to convince the communists that we cannot be defeated by force of arms or by superior power.
Back then, it's not like today. Back then, I went over as a replacement. We didn't leave as a unit. When I got to Vietnam, I immediately become the squad leader to a squad I'd never met before. In 12 hours after I met the squad, I was on my very first patrol with 8 men that I had no idea who they were.
None of us knew where Vietnam was. Okay, back in those days, you weren't as well informed as you are nowadays in the Marine Corps. And we were ordered to go, and we went.
It is through skillful use of patrols of many different sizes and types that our military commanders in Vietnam maintain contact with the enemy and exert the constant pressure which is weakening the VC's grip on areas he has controlled for years by tyranny and terror.
It was very interesting because we arrived with nothing, had no tents, no anything, and so I borrowed a cot from somebody, borrowed an M3 grease gun from a friend who had an Ontos platoon, and that was my weapon. I was the advanced party for the air group. When I arrived at Chu Lai Air Base, Marine Air Group 12 was already there with an aluminum plank runway and catapult and arresting gear to get the A4s off the ground. And we in the F4 community occupied a brand new runway there in front that was still being built actually when we started.
I was a psychological operations officer, advisor, so I did a lot of things with helping the community needs and things like that, including teaching school and things like that. Taught them English and whatever else. Working with the Vietnamese, everything I did was fun. I went on combat patrols as well as singing down with the villagers and things like that. I had memorized a couple songs, and I know the villagers always laughed as heartily as you can imagine when I sang it, but it was always a lot of fun, and I thought the world of it. Enough to say that I really wasn't satisfied. I didn't get enough combat, and I wanted to go up north and join the Marines up there and get a rifle company. And I just did that and extended, and I went up north and joined Fox Company, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines.
Pull up, boy! Get up there!
Hardest part was losing good friends who I was flying with, both in the squadron and the air group, because we were doing very close air support for Marines, Army, and ARVN, and most of our ordnance was delivered from 200 feet above the ground. We were motivated all the time, but the thing that motivated us really is our infantry brothers on the ground. They depended on us, and we delivered. We delivered for them.
Hardest part for me was losing the men that we lost. First on Harvest Moon, that second major operation I talked about, they landed us in the middle of a rice paddy, a huge rice paddy, and we were surrounded on 3 sides by North Vietnamese regulars, which they had 12.7 millimeter machine guns in caves, and they tore us up when we landed, and we lost probably half the platoon at that time, killed and wounded. Well, it's nothing like it is nowadays when we return to the U.S. Okay, there was no fanfare, no parades, no people meeting you, welcoming you back, and things like that, things of that nature.
Regardless of what the press, I think, gave the impression, the American people, that we were a bunch of baby killers and all kinds of nonsense. I have never served with more dedicated professionals in my life. They performed professionally, outstandingly well, and the camaraderie and the brotherhood was fantastic.
I learned a lot from the Vietnam War. It impacted me how to treat people, take care of other people. It's just made me a better person. I grew up in the battlefields of Vietnam.
American soldiers, Marines, airmen, and sailors fought with the utmost honor, commitment, and courage, and no one can take that away from them. We know what we did, and we know what we did was right.